Okay, let's see. We got audio. Yes. We have a mower outside. Yes. Look at this. Look at this. Giles, man, it's good to see your recorded face. Oh my gosh. The good old days. Indeed. Indeed. And John is on the road. He has flown the coop from the lovely Caribbean and is hanging out near Chicago on purpose. Teaching mission, revival. Yes. And Kyle is here. Ed's here. TKDS is here. Holy cow. Joe DeMax is here. Oh my gosh. Rick Mitchell is here. Tommy Willis is here. Oh man. I ought to just turn it over to you guys. It is a celebrity streaming show. That's right. Let's see if we can bring those of you that are not in the chat at the moment. Let's see. Somebody brought a sandwich by for me a little earlier. That was really, really nice. So let's see. Yep, it's Giles. And we have missed him, indeed. And John is on the road outside of Chicago in Illinois, a little town called Hoopeston. Well, all right. How about that? And Kyle is here. And TKDS is here. And Joe is here. And Ed is here. And Rick is here. And Tommy is here. And Balchi TV in Aruba is here. Hubert, welcome. Glad to have you. Isn't that a fact? Isn't a fact? Back to the bad old days. The bad old days. Holy cow. Holy cow. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, and Jolyn is here. Welcome. Glad to have you. I will make Jolyn, I'll make apologies for this group immediately in advance. There's no telling what they might say, what they might print. It is a raucous crowd, as raucous as a bunch of 80-year-olds can be, right? Not really. We're not quite there yet. but we're working on it. Some of us more than others. So today, oh my gosh, I have not been with you guys for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. A week ago, I was under the weather. 2 weeks ago, and then a week before that, I was in Portugal. My brother and his wife invited me and my wife to attend with them, and we hiked everywhere and slept in castles and palaces, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Glad to be home, though. Glad to be home. And obviously it wore me out because I got sick last week. Because last week we were going to talk about vMix 29 beta. Giles, can you believe it? vMix 29? 29? Holy cow. But the idea is, yeah, vMix 29. And I have some tricks for today. Not big tricks, little teeny weeny little tricks. Little teeny tricks, yeah, not big tricks. I'm not good enough for big tricks. But yeah. Did anybody happen to catch the vMix Fun Time live show, either live from Amsterdam, that would have been like maybe Sunday or Monday, or recorded, which I think just got available on YouTube yesterday. Today's Wednesday, so yesterday, Tuesday. So yeah. So go back and watch that. That's really good. It's really good. And it has the longest live recorded scene with Martin Sinclair actually in it live. He does exist. He is still walking the face of this earth. Can you imagine? Yeah. So Giles, I think it was vMix 16. Kyle confirms. Tommy sort of confirms. Glad you could carve out some time with us, Tommy. So vMix 16, you know, vMix 16, that is when vMix was the very first to introduce NDI. Holy cow. Oh, no, that was 2016. Might have been vMix 16 too, but I don't think so. vMix 16 was before that. But vMix 29 at NAB in 2016 in Las Vegas, the vMix guys had asked me to come do this show live from their studio. They built a set on the floor of NAB, and so I was excited about that. And they had just introduced NDI, which what's NDI? I mean, what was NDI back then? And the word on the street was that, and I may have even heard it from the man himself or somebody close to the man himself, but the word on the street was that Martin Sinclair had been developing a media transport at the same time Dr. Andrew Cross was developing network device interface, NDI. And the two had been doing some amount of collaborating. I don't want to steal all the stories from the show, so I'll save that story for later. Golly, we'll have to start the show early. So Tommy wants to ask about Rooney, the NDI and NDI leech. Unfortunately, Tommy, Rooney is no longer with us. He left us in last month. It was really, really sad. He was 16 years old, we think, and at the end of his life. And 2 days before he died, he was out in the backyard hunting lizards and whatever else he could. And fortunately for all of us, including him, he went quickly. And He was a lover of souls. Yeah, yeah. Get a little nostalgic about that. But we miss the guy. We miss him greatly. And so vMix 17, 18 was, I think it was 18. Yeah, 18. It was amazing. It was amazing. Okay, I see the countdown right here is counting us down to showtime. So let me get that queued up. What the heck? Let's get started 10 seconds early. What do you say? Here we go. How about that? Hat tip again. All right, so we're here, you're here, I'm here, we're all here. We are talking about vMix 29. vMix 29. There have been 29 versions of vMix. Now, granted, the first maybe half a dozen versions were never released to the public. They were internal versions. They were probably, for my own use kind of things. But to come back to the story, Martin Sinclair, the creator of vMix, coincidentally sharing the last name, although maybe not. Maybe we are 19th cousins. Martin Sinclair was at NAB in 2016, along with Dr. Andrew Cross, then from NewTek, the makers of the TriCaster. The two of them, either unknowingly or knowingly, had both been working on a way to transport video and audio, and who knows what else, over a common local area network. So if you had a local area network, you could share cameras and audio and all this sort of stuff. And it was introduced as a final product in 2016 by NewTek, called NDI, Network Device Interface. And vMix also introduced it as part of vMix, whatever year that was. I think Giles said 2018. I mean, vMix 19, but we can go back and check. Anyway, NDI was just like, what is it? It was like the manna from Moses' time in the desert. And if you look back onto the description of manna, essentially it means, what is it? Because nobody knew what it was, because it never had existed before, much like NDI. And so vMix was the first one to adopt it. There was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it. Nobody knew what it really was or what it would do. But it's been 9 years, 10 next spring, and NDI has been a thing. It's been a lifesaver for a lot of people. All the people that formerly had been connecting, SDI to SDI in order to get video and audio moving around someplace, now could fall back on NDI and you were already connected. Dr. Andrew Cross left NewTek a couple, 3 years ago, maybe longer now. And this is purely conjecture on my part. This is not fact. I do not know this to be true. This is just my brain spinning around thinking, well, Dr. Cross has left NewTek. NewTek, of course, owns NDI, the rights to NDI, to further development of NDI. But Dr. Cross is not there anymore. Perhaps Dr. Sinclair, Martin Sinclair, founder of vMix, decided to pull his old project off the shelf, dust it off a little bit, tune it up a little bit, and has released it to the world as open media transport. Kind of a NDI version, very early version, obviously. It's been out there in the wild maybe a month, maybe 2, maybe longer, I don't know. I mean, I'm always the last one to the table, and if you're following me, you're even further back. But OMT, I keep wanting to call it OMG, but I know that's not right. OMT, Open Media Transport, is now part of vMix 29. And you can bring in OMT inputs, and I'll show you that in just a second, as well as making resources, assets, inputs in your vMix production, making those available as OMT outputs. So I'm really excited, really excited. So, you know me, I'm playing around with stuff. I'm going to show you what I think it looks like. And I've been looking at it for, milliseconds practically. So I have set up behind me. Do I have a camera I can point at that thing? Hold on a second. Let me find a camera here. Let me find a camera and get that camera pointed at, I think that's going to be the one right there. Can we change that camera? Yeah, there we go. Let's get that camera going that way. Boy, is that camera moving slowly. Bear with me just, oh, you want to see what I'm doing? Let's do that. Let's find a desktop capture. Desktop capture. It's not a desktop capture, but let's turn it into a desktop capture. Change, local desktop capture. Shall we do the whole display? Yeah, let's do the display. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's take that off the screen. There we go. Bring me up there. So I'm going to come down here to cameras, my little tab here. Oh, that's the that's the wrong. No, it isn't. What in the world? It's only part of a desktop capture. That's why. Let's go in. Layers. Position. Huh. Why am I only getting part of a screen? Maybe it's, did I do vMix or did I do the whole monitor? Layers, position. Oh, well, let's go to position main. There we go. That's why it's not. That's what we wanted to do. Okay, that's everything now. Okay, so let's go to cameras, and we're going to go to this bird dog camera right here, and we're going to go to the PTZ control for it, and let's see if we can get it to pivot some more. There we go. Now we're moving at a good speed. You get to see my ceiling, but let's go. Oh, there it is right there. We'll zoom it some more, and then I'm going to reposition it a little bit. There we go. So that, let's zoom in a little bit more so we can get the right one. That is a vMix Go right there. That is a vMix Go, and it is rebuilt. It's got an i9 in it now, so it's a screamer. And that is running vMix, and it looks like this. So that's the desktop from that system, and you can see now it's got a camera attached to it. It's a webcam that's sitting right there, Logitech C920. Those were the days, right? All right, so let's go straight to that shot. So that is the webcam shot right there from me. I mean, it's not a well composed shot. Obviously, it's just something quick and dirty at the last minute. But I wanted to have something, and as you can tell, it is coming in over OMT. Not that everything from OMT has that logo on it. I just threw that on there so I would know which it was. And so that is very simply a camera. And let me open up this screen over here so you can see. It's a camera, and here in this remote version of vMix, I went into settings, and I went into outputs, and I said down here, cameras calls audio inputs, you now have the option between NDI and OMT. So I turned on OMT for the camera. I could have done that for the output, any number of the outputs, and have all of those available as OMTs across the network, as well as the audio inputs. And then, of course, could have selected any one of my inputs and assigned that as 1, 2, 3 of the 4 outputs and available as OMT. And there are all sorts of other well, I won't say non-vMix, but I'll say outside of the vMix world, there are other, what's the right word? I guess other resources, other OMT resources that are not necessarily vMix branded. So in vMix now, let's see, we'll go back to this shot. We'll bring it up. And in vMix, you remember there used to be something called vMix Desktop Capture. Well, now it's called vMix Desktop Capture OMT. And so I've got that running right here. And that is essentially the vMix Desktop Capture that there was before, except instead of running over NDI, it's running over OMT. So yeah, how cool is that? Now, just for grins, I thought I'd set up a side-by-side comparison between me over here and me over there and let you see what the latency is. Now, this is an NDI, this is a PTZ Optics NDI HX Move 4K 12X, a lot of words. So it's coming in over NDI, and I have 50 milliseconds of latency on it to match up to my audio, which is right here, this little Hollyland mic. Love this little thing. I did a review on it a while back. You can go back and look at that. But I wanted to give you the visual and this is obviously non-scientific. Didn't have time to set that up, but I will another day. But just so you can see the movement, the latency in the movement, one versus the other is virtually nil. So the latency in this is probably, the vMix guys say about a frame of video. So right now we're running 60 frames a second. I think it's probably a frame and a half at 60 frames a second, and no, yeah. And then maybe less than a frame at 30 frames a second, obviously. So, yeah. Now, why is latency important? Well, latency is important because if you have a mix of resources, some OMT, some NDI, you want them to match up. You don't want them to be, you don't want them to be not matching, because that creates all sorts of headaches. Now, there may be some way, I haven't looked at it long enough, but I think there's a way to adjust the latency in an OMT setup. Martin said in the vMix Funtime live show that a 1080p 60 video will use about 200 megs, and that a 4K 60, what did he say? It wasn't twice as much. Maybe it was 1.5 times as much. So maybe 350 megs, something like that. Still the equivalent of what we would call full NDI, not NDI HX, in terms of, crunching up, well, not crunching up, but filling up your network. If you've got a gigabit network like I do here, you're only going to get, 3, maybe 4 OMT sources in addition to all the NDI or NDI-HX sources I've got floating around here. Sometimes you forget, and things suddenly bog down. It's like, what, why? It's like, oh yeah, I've got 15 cameras, in various stages of whatever they are, capture. So, so yeah, this is what I know about OMT so far. The interesting thing about it, let's see, can we do merge. Did we lose? Oh no, there's merge. Will this work for merge? Yeah, there we go. Apparently you, and maybe even me, can build our own box that will allow us to either encode or decode the OMT signal. And Martin showed off one that they built. He showed it off at IBC in the vMix Funtime Live show, which you need to go back and watch. But there is also apparently everything you need to know in order to build your own available online on GitHub. And I don't have that address available, but if you go to vMix forums and look at the OMT stuff, you'll see it. And they've been very, I mean, it's open source. I mean, that's the deal. NDI is not open source. OMT is open source. So this may really catch fire. It has been adopted by vMix. It's been adopted by OBS. And outside of that, I'm not sure who else. If they were people, I didn't recognize their names. So yeah, there we go. So OMT, OMT, OMT. Keep an eye out for it. If you're using vMix, you may decide to start using it in your studio. You know, we'll see if any camera developers start using it. Apparently, since it's open source, it doesn't require a license. The license for NDI, the license fee for NDI will definitely drop now. But I remember back in the bad old days, if you wanted to upgrade your PTZ Optics HD camera to NDI, which I think was NDI HX, it was $600 for one license, and they were selling like hotcakes. And now they're available, of course, in the camera, and the fee is a lot less. But all right, so Ed says in the chat that NDI was introduced in 2015 and it was in vMix version 13. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah, 9 years, and they were doing more than a version a year at one point. So anyway, keep an eye out for OMT. And I think I might get the goods in here and try to build one of those boxes live with you. And you can tell me everything I'm doing wrong. It'll be fun. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, other parts of this, and this is going to be fun, because this is what I spent, excuse me, far too much time playing with, was the ability to illustrate that now we have multiple overlays. In the past, we had 4. Now we have 8. And those are individual overlays. Let me do a desktop capture again. And you can see them right in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where they are. We can turn them on again right here. Not that we would ever want to do that, but there we go. We have, and I've got one button, thankfully, that turns them all off. So yeah, so there they are. You got extra overlays. Do they do anything that they didn't used to do? No, there's just more of them. There's just more of them. And I'm sure we'll all find ways to use them and break them and, say, it's not doing what I thought. vMix is broken. The very first time I had I probably did something like this. All right, so I'm going to take this input number 3 down here, and I'm going to put it on overlay channel 1. And all of a sudden, I can't cut or do anything that affects the output. Oh, well, maybe they fixed it now. Yeah, so if I cut away from that and then cut back, it turns it off. That's good. Well, it didn't used to turn it off. That's good to know. I didn't even know that. Gee whiz. You'd think I would pay attention to some of this stuff, but if it's not broke, or if I didn't break it, yep. And Joe says NDI was officially released in the spring of 2016 at NAB. I was there. I was there. And we can go back and look and see what it was. I don't think it was 16, although it could have been. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's just trivia. Just trivia. All right, so we've got that. We've got our wonderful new ta-da, ding. Should have had sounds with them. That would have been fun too. In addition to all of that, we have got for you instant replay folks, and I haven't tested this yet, but I can't wait to test it, that the recording of the instant replay is constantly recording, and then occasionally we'll make a playback. But you know, if you've got 4 cameras attached, you know, you're recording 4 cameras simultaneously, and then you're making 1 playback. But vMix says that the CPU usage for version 29 could be reduced as much as 50%. Holy cow. You could practically run this on your phone, although there was some discussion of ARM processors. That is amazing. That is amazing. I mean, there are some other small changes about drag and drop and things like that to make it easier to use, and then a bunch of new shortcuts and activators. But the under the hood change that allows us to get a 50% savings, unbelievable, unbelievable. It's going to be interesting to see if in the vMix reference systems, you know, on the vMix website, you can go and see what their reference systems are based on a particular set of specifications, a particular set of needs. Will their reference systems change? Can you get more for the same amount of hardware, or can you get the same thing for a lower amount of hardware? I mean, are we going to be running instant replay on the old i3 processor? I tried that, by the way. It didn't work very well. Audio-wise, there was a time, and let me show it to you because it's going to be fun to look at. Let's go into settings, and we'll go into audio outputs, and was it here? No, must have been somewhere else. Was it here that I could assign multiple buses? No, let's see, go back to all the buses. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I know where it was. Settings, audio outputs. We've got all of these, and then these could be available in groupings. And essentially, the grouping is now including A and B, C and D, D and E, A, B, C, D, and D, E, F, G. So for those of you folks that live and die by audio, you can live another day. Let's see what else caught my attention. It was really the OMT, the instant replay, and the overlay channels. There's some other things that, like OMT supports 4K at 120 frames a second. Ooh, I just put that together. So you've got 4K at 120 frames a second, and you've got instant replay using 50% less CPU. We're going to put that together. And we're going to have a 4K 60 frame a second, 4K 120 frame a second vMix reference system. Wow. course, you're going to have to find a 4K 120 camera, but they're out there. They're not inexpensive, and they're not easy to use. And right now they're using just a bunch of overlay technology to give you that resolution. But yeah, we'll see. Yep. Oh, I'm reading off the vMix forum page, and it says that that the vMix version 29 supports direct recording to instant replay and multi-quarter using the vMix AVI without re-encoding. So that's probably where the savings on the CPU come in. We'll see. We'll see. So what do you think? What do you think? Heck, can you wait to get a hold of it? You get a hold of it by simply going. They've changed where you get it. Let me see if I can I show you my screen over here? Yeah, there we go. Sharpen. Yeah. Okay, so this is, and I know it's teeny weeny text. Don't worry about that. This is the vMix forum, and they've got a new forum called Beta Discussions. So if you go to the forums, which look like this, you'll scroll down to Beta Discussions right here, and you'll see vMix 29 preview released, and you'll go here, and then you'll click on 29 here. And if you haven't already, you need to get the Zoom plugin, which they have here. And you can see all the features, and then I'm going to scroll down, and you can see that they, in vMix, in version .20, they fixed some things and added some other things, and then 21, and then 22, and then 24, and we're currently at 25. Added support for WebP to image and photo inputs. So there you go. Yep. New alpha fade transition that applies as opposite fade to current input along preview input. This looks better with alpha channels, but will result in slight brightness dip at the midpoint, so not recommended for general purpose use. Well, there you go. That's it. Let's give them a thank. Holy cow. So, vMix 29, get it at a website near you, and post your experiences in the forum. And yeah, and keep an eye out for OMT. I'm gonna see if I can't get the goodies to build an OMT box. I think you can build it and then just within the box tell it to either do encode or decode. I got to find out some more about that. I mean, basically it's a Raspberry Pi. And so, you know, you might be able to build one for under $100. We'll see. And certainly people will, if they haven't already, people will be coming out with them. You know, if I were Magewell, I would be coming out with one. If I were Black Magic, this is Black Magic's opportunity. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would have one. And maybe, you know, maybe Bird Dog will come out with one. Don't know. Don't know. We'll see. Let's go to the post show and talk all about it, shall we? All right, let's see if I can figure out how to get to the post show. There's got to be a way to do this. Yeah, here we go. Well, all right, holy cow, gee whiz, guys. The things that we remember that we never ever should have said. That is too funny. So this is about Rooney. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Giles. I appreciate that. So Jasper is going to dive right in there. And he keeps trying, but he's got some sort of spell check that's not helping him out. And indeed it did. Oh my gosh. Tommy thinks I should go back to the yellow polos. Thank you so much. Dave is here, or was, hopefully still. And yep, there you go. That's right. That's right. And Giles comes out of the past into the present. OMT is very good. Tell us how you're using it. Oh my gosh. All right, so Ed is relying on AI. He says it's vMix 13. And let's see. Trying to catch up with where we are right here. There we go. Now I'm catching up. And Joe says NDI was March 2016. That it was announced at IBC and then available at NAB. Giles doesn't think it's 16, but he qualifies that. Aha. All right, so Joe's, this is interesting. Okay, another OMT benefit. If you're using OMT inputs with Replay, it's very efficient. No need to decode and re-encode because it's ready to go because it's already in the vMix codec. That's right. That's right. vMix has released the V codec or the vMX codec to be used with OMT. So in a vMix environment, maybe that's where the 50% reduction comes in. That is a fact, Jack. All right, Joe says to look at the settings for SRT or similar. That's where the new bus pairings can be used. You're talking about audio now, yes. Dave, of course, has been using it since the day after it was released. And how's it going for you, Dave? And Otis is here. There was some discussion. I don't think it was on that. I don't think so. But it would be interesting. Yes. Raspberry Pi based encoder decoder would be great. Gonna look into it. Yes. Mic audio lower. Yeah, you know, I noticed that today too, Dave. I think I did something to it. Let's see if I can do it again. Did that make any difference? Eugene Kenny, blast from the past. Welcome. Glad to have you, sir. He's not using it yet. Well, you are way behind the 8 ball then, my friend, if you're just learning about it from me. Yes, Dave is right. The Sierra guys that do a lot of work with the Apple side were talked about by Martin Sinclair as doing something with OMT. OMT, of course, if you shuffle the letters around, you know what you get. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, you know, I mean, the technology they've got is working for them, and there's a great install base of NDI. Dave says no issues at all. Aha, good. Yeah, they're good guys. I like them. All right, so for vMix, would you buy a 5070 Super 18 gig over a 5060 Ti 16 gig? Oh yeah, oh yeah. The key, at least the way it used to be, maybe it's changed. The key BJ904945 is CUDA cores, C-U-D-A, CUDA cores. Whichever one's got the most CUDA cores, vMix is going to be able to use most efficiently. So let's just look it up real quick. 5070 Super, RTX 5070 Super, and by the way, it's going to be the same regardless of the manufacturer. So let's see, let's see CUDA cores. We're just going to say CUDA cores. CUDA cores is 6,400. So it's got a few extra than the regular 5070. So then now we're looking at the 5060 Ti is 4,608. So significant difference between the two. Significant difference between the two. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. What benefit is it for them? I guess they could put it in their cameras, but then what benefit is it? I guess it means that it could operate in either environment. I mean, when OMT becomes a dominant force, which it very well could in a short period of time be an open source, you know, if I were a camera manufacturer, I would probably want both, and then let the camera, you know, a setting in the camera decide which network it's going to use. I mean, which transmission protocol it's going to use. So Otis is currently using a 1080 encoder into an AV network switch to 10 decoders. I'm thinking of going into the lab with the Raspberry as a 4K encoder. Yeah. Oh, there you go. And Dave says the 5070 Ti, not the Super, but the Ti, has two NVEC, two NV encoder chips. For a Ruby PC, why put the 5060 Ti 16 gigs instead of the regular 1570 gig? Yeah, that's a good question. It may have been that the specs came out when the 5060 Ti was available and the 5070 wasn't yet available. And it also could be that vMix was giving the you know, kind of the base use case to say, you know, certainly you can always do more than their reference systems. But if you want to do, you know, whatever it was, let's go to the website and find out. And I'll take you along with me. Not that you care, but you might. All right, so this is the vMix website. We are going to go to, let's turn it back to regular size. I guess it is. Doesn't look like regular size, does it? There we go, 100%. We're going to go to Products, Reference Systems, Ruby. And the Ruby is 8 cameras with 4-camera instant replay. And so we're looking at the graphics card is a 5060 Ti 16 gig. So that's going to be the minimum standard for 8 cameras with 4-camera instant replay. That's the way I understand it. Now, with the change in version 29, I mean, we'll have to see whether the 50 or up to 50% CPU usage savings, if that makes a difference. And we'll have to see. Let's see. Let me go back to this for a second because I'm kind of thinking out loud here. And let's bump this one up just a little bit. There we go. So NDI or SRT inputs, you got 4 at HD. At some point, they'll change that to say NDI, SRT, or OMT. But it also may be that OMT is a more efficient way of getting cameras into vMix for replay based on what Joe said than NDI or SRT. And so that if you have the option to bring in cameras via OMT, it's going to make it easier on the vMix end. Now, that may not affect the graphics card, but it may mean that you can bring in, 6 OMT cameras as opposed to 4 NDI cameras. We'll see. I mean, it's a beta. I don't know how much of that we can test here. That's interesting. We'll see if maybe we can do that. 5070 was okay. So it was probably just that the 5060 Ti was enough. And you can always do more. You can always do more. I don't know why. Overhead. Yep. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Yes. OMT, rearrange the letters, and you get MOT. That's right. So I really appreciate the little, what would you call it, a subliminal naming of OMT in my honor. And Tommy's honor, of course. Yes, yes. And yeah. All right. Well, what do we got here? 1 second. We're checking on something. Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I'm not answering the phone. I'm just checking a calendar. Today is today. Jeez. I am not going to be here next week. Oh man, I can't believe it. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'm visiting my granddaughter. I have a granddaughter. For 97 years in my side of in the Sinclair clan, all we had were boys. 96 years up until last year, when my middle son was responsible for producing a daughter. He didn't birther, but he carries the chromosome that made the difference. I mean, there was my dad, who had an older sister, but the sister was the last girl. Then my dad had me and my two brothers, and my middle brother had two sons. I've got three sons. My oldest son has two sons. My baby son has one son, and then my middle son last March produced a girl. So what do we do with girls? Fortunately, you know, we can give them soccer balls and basketballs and all that other kind of stuff, and it's okay. So that's where I'm going to be next week. I'm going to be visiting her, and then the day after, next Thursday, I'm going to be switching over and going to visit my two grandsons. So I'll be down in Melbourne the beginning of next week, in St. Pete the end of next week, and then in a little bit into the following week. So yeah. So I got to tell Rich that 24th won't work, because we were going to have him on the show next Thursday. We'll have to back him up. So yeah. So next week I'm out, and then 2 weeks after that, I'm going to see the other grandson, and I'll be gone for October 8th. We'll be back on the 14th, which should mean I can do a show on the 15th, and then I'm in town for a while. And then Thanksgiving, all of the family's coming to be at my house. I can't wait. I think it's going to be in honor of my birthday, which is in earlier November, where I turn 50 plus 10 plus 10. No more. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not like I did anything, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, come on by the house. Come on by the house. Yeah, on the road a lot, but you know, do it while you can, kind of thing. All right, another question. Here we go. If I have more than 50 inputs, would that explain why my vMix is slow? Or is it because I'm having 3 or more desktop capture inputs? If you have more than 50 inputs, that would not necessarily tell you why your vMix is slow. What you want to look at, and let me get my desktop capture up here again. I'll bring it in here, and I'll put myself there for a second. And then I'm going to take that desktop capture and I'm going to zoom it down to there. Hold on. Trying to make it big enough so everybody can see it. There you go. So right here, you see that's my resolution and frame rate, 1080p, 5997. P is progressive. My frames per second is 60 to 61, 59. My render time, this is the key element right here, render time. My render time is, sorry, let's get away from that other stuff, is 4 to 5 milliseconds. And that's the key. My GPU memory is low, my CPU for vMix is low, total is low, but I'm running an i9. That's part of it. I've got a, what is the GPU? Let's look here real quick. It is a 4070 Ti Super. So we're cruising. Previously, we were recording And currently, obviously, we're still streaming using the AV1 chip on the graphics card. But the key is the render time. The key is the render time. And I don't know if you noticed this. You didn't. Let me go back to it. But you can see I'm using 98 inputs today. And my render time is, 3 to 4 seconds. Excuse me, 3 to 4 milliseconds. What? There we go. 3 to 4 milliseconds. So yeah, it depends on what your hardware is. And that's really the answer. The answer is your hardware is not sufficient at some level. You're trying to do too much. 3 or more desktop capture inputs. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 desktop capture inputs. And 2 full screens and a bunch of other stuff. But the idea is, let's go back here. The idea is, have you matched up to the vMix reference systems so far as the CPU, the RAM, the GPU, possibly power supply, but really it's the CPU, the GPU, and the RAM. Those are the big 3. And then after that, it's a matter of tweaking. There's a whole section in the vMix knowledge base on how to set up your PC for vMix. That includes, telling your PC to run at absolutely full speed, telling it to interface absolutely full speed with your graphics card, setting your graphics card to run absolutely full speed. All those little tweaks make a whole lot of difference. And one other thing that you may want to check, and let me go back to the desktop capture for just a second, and let's put it back the way it was, reset, there we go. So we'll come back here, and if you want to go into to settings, and then go to performance, and make sure you don't have the high input performance mode checked if you're using rebar. That will slow you down. That will slow you down. Oh, Otis, if you only knew about the parties at my house. You're welcome. Come back anytime. All right, if you have a 4K screen, then desktop capture can be quite healthy. If you need to capture the same screen more than once, it might be possibly help to use virtual inputs. Good point. Good point. Yes, indeedy. All right. Time for Tommy's nap or else his afternoon meds. Lawnmower races. Oh, that would be fun. There is a corn maze not far from my house. You guys could have fun in that too. And good night, Tommy. Yep. And let's see here. Yep. I think I'm going to fade out too. I appreciate you guys. It has been lots of fun hanging out with you and talking about this today. And we'll do it again in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And yeah. If I could spell, I would be dangerous. There we go. Oh, hold it. One more. Where is it? Is it coming? There it is, right there. What he said. Oops, it didn't work. Now. Yeah. Yeah. All right. You guys take care. Giles, good to see you. Glad to have you. Appreciate you. Thank you, sir. I hope to. I will catch you guys, as they say, on the flip side.